Hello, everybody. This is another live on another topic related with relationships. But this time I decided to touch upon the topic of online dating. It's not a new topic, it's actually very, very popular. And especially, I think, after the pandemic, it became super popular. And during the pandemic, actually, where there was no other way to actually meet new people apart from meeting them online. So it became a very easy, convenient way to meet new people. And as a person who is very much related with technology, and actually I'm in this business, so I definitely support and encourage people to use technology. And technology became very widespread, not only when it comes to business, but also in personal relationships. So for the ones, the new joiners, today's topic is online dating and the advantages and disadvantages of online dating. So in my introduction, I started with my opinion about online dating and the technology in general that facilitates and enables people to meet in easier way, I would say, when they feel very convenient and they're at home and just let's say with a couple of swipes they can actually start talking and have an easy access to people. So my perspective is that there is a lot of differences when it comes to online dating, depending on gender, depending of whether you're a woman or you're a man. And I will say why. I think that regardless of the fact that online dating or all these dating applications, platforms that facilitate and make easier for us to connect and to interact, in long term, I don't believe it actually helped very much for ensuring that people really connect in a deeper way, actually in any way, apart from maybe very superficial way, which is let's say at a very I'm not too sure if I can tell and say this unless I'm banned on TikTok, but at a very superficial level, let's put it this way. And again, please feel free to share your opinion. What I have noticed, and a person who actually, and I'm talking from experience, guys, I've used dating platforms for some time. And the reason that I started using them in the past was because I've heard a lot of different feedback from people saying, oh my God, I found my partner there and we got into a serious relationship, and things developed in a very positive way. So I thought, okay, maybe it's really a good starting point. It's a good way to meet people. But I think statistics has a lot to do, because I would say that maybe amongst a lot of people, you could really if you keep meeting people, if you keep swiping right or whatever, at some point, statistically, maybe you could find somebody who is a good match. And okay, it really depends on what you're looking for. I'm talking from the perspective of finding a partner, like getting into a relationship through online dating, through dating applications. When it comes to really superficial type of relationships, and you guys know what I'm talking about, I think is great. But I've heard something that was very interesting to me from a business perspective. All these online platforms for dating actually don't have a benefit of making you guys match and get into relationship and get out of the platform. So the platform, the software, the website, whatever it may be, actually benefits a lot more from users. So from people who are single, from people who are not in a relationship, from people who are looking either for a relationship or for whatever else, but they are users. So from a business standpoint, the business case of all these platforms is actually not to get you out of them, but to keep you in there, keep looking. And that's very interesting because I never thought of it, because it's actually counterintuitive. I was like, isn't it really the purpose of the dating apps to find somebody and start dating and see how it goes and get out of these platforms and just be in a real life and, you know, get to know each other and all that? But when I've heard that, I actually thought really deeper into it, and it made sense to me that those dating applications actually make money from users, not from people who just come for a day or a couple of days, find somebody and get out and sign out, and they no longer have profiles, accounts, whatever. As I said, because there were people who stated that, okay, it's really an easy way to, or maybe an alternative way to find new people and to meet new people. It's actually convenient, and we should, in 21st century, use technology for whatever it can be, and also in our personal lives. So as I said, as a person who is very technology oriented, and that's my job, I thought it's actually a good thing. But apart from the whole business case of those dating platforms, that they actually benefit a lot more from people staying in there and not getting out of them, there's a lot of other things. But you know, I don't know if you have the same experience as me, but I was in the past, especially during the pandemic when I was single, I was going, I was using some dating app and then using it for some time. And when I haven't seen actually that it really benefited me in any way, I kind of stopped for some time, and then I jump in again, and it was like back and forth, getting in and getting out from it. And what I noticed is that I could I could see the same, similar, familiar faces there. So I was like, oh my god, I've seen that guy, or I've seen the other guy. So I was like, oh my god, are we the losers that that never found a partner, and they're still like in a rotation and keep being there, or there's something else? And again, apart from the fact that people's motivation for using dating apps could be very different and can vary a lot. You know, not everybody's there for relationships, women or men. Some people just really like to meet new people for whatever reason, apart from something serious or committed, like, and it's perfectly fine. And I think the dating apps, my standpoint, is that the dating apps, in most cases, are very beneficial and useful for the people, men and women, who just like to meet new people and, you know, hang out, hook up, etc. I'm not saying though that there are no people who are looking for committed relationships in the dating apps. They are, and I was one of them actually. But I would say that it's a little bit more complicated for those people. And my view on that is the following. I would say that, especially for women, I'm talking from the perspective of a woman. So it's my woman's perspective when it comes to dating app experiences, right? Guys, what I've noticed is that because there's a lot of choice, and there's some differences between genders, like there's specifics if you're a man, there are specifics if you're a woman, etc. I will talk about it later. But how this gender characteristics affect the dating life, especially when it comes to these websites and dating platforms. What I think is that if we take, you know, the traditional roles of the woman and the man, when the woman is more passive, not nowadays, but I'm talking about traditional, okay? So for the people who are not traditional, maybe it doesn't apply. But traditionally, masculine men, are the ones who are chasing, the ones who are trying to impress the woman, to do things, whatever it takes to impress her so that they can go to the next level, right? So that they can be acknowledged and, who knows, get into something else, whatever it may be. And women are the ones that are attracting, the ones that are beautiful, attractive, and in this way they're not so active. But when it comes to the dating platforms, my personal experience is that what it happens is that it's like a catalog. It's like a catalog. And so if I can think from a perspective of a man, so he opens up, I have like a notebook here that I don't have anything noted down, by the way. It's just I'm just talking about the things that I really experience. It's just really my personal life and experience. But what I want to say is that, you know, they imagine this is any of I don't want to state any of the dating platforms, but you know what I'm talking about. There are a few very popular ones. So imagine this is one of them. No. So what's male the man's experience and the woman's, but again I'm talking from a woman's perspective, so it's a little bit different. So what a man does is he sees Tinder, okay, they're just all these women, he that swipes left and right, or right, swipes left and right, and he sees just pictures. And because most men, if not all, are very visual creatures. So, okay, they see beautiful girls, they swipe right all the time. Right, because this is beautiful, that's beautiful, that's beautiful, that's beautiful, she's cool, she's sexy, whatever. And they kind of gain like a huge pool of contacts, let's say, that they could start chatting with. Not all of them answer, so they kind of, it's like a bulk thing. And my point of view is that this is one of the main problems, is that these dating apps create the impression that you have a lot of choice. For women and for men, actually, in this situation, doesn't matter the gender at all. So there's a lot of options, like full with beautiful women, filter applied, not applied, whatever it may be, a lot of choice. So it kind of creates the illusion that you have a lot of choice. And from a male's perspective, what happens is that they'll say, okay, I swiped right to 100 of women. Yeah, I'm just making up a number. I swiped right, and I start, sending hello, hey, hi, beautiful, a hearty. You know how guys are, like a kiss, whatever they send, to everybody, and they just wait. It's like fishing, and they wait to see who is going to reply. So what would be, which, or let's say, who from all the women in the pool would answer? So there's nothing personal about it. It's just like, mathematics or statistics or whatever you call it. There's no like, oh my God, this is Maria. Oh my God, this is the woman of my life. Oh, she's so amazing. She's so attractive. She has a specific attitude or something about her that I like. There's nothing about it. It's just a catalog. It's just pictures, and it's very indifferent. It's like there's a little bit inhuman, there's nothing personal about it. While, just to compare it, while when it comes to real life dating and meeting people in real life, it's so much different. Because imagine you are walking on the street and like a woman, and somebody approaches you and say hello to you, or you're sitting at the bar or whatever in a restaurant, and for somebody to approach you, there's not like hundreds of women in the catalog. No, here, swipe right, and it's so easy because you're behind the monitor, behind the computer, and it's so easy, you're hidden, and it's just, you send some texts and it's just like so easy. When you're in real life, it's not that easy. So for a man to approach a woman in real life, it takes courage. It takes effort. It takes a lot of masculine expression. It's just not the same. It's not the same. My personal experience is that if I'm sitting in a bar or in a restaurant, there's a lot of men who look at me because I'm attractive, okay? And they're interested. But then every single man would approach you. It takes courage to, come and introduce yourself and do it in a very respectful way. And not every man would do that. I mean, not every single man would do that. Um, so anyway, long story short, because when I decide to go alone, I don't normally sit at a table. I rather prefer to sit at the bar. Um, and what happens is that I've seen accidentally, I swear to God, accidentally, guys, they were like with their phone, and because one of them was just sitting next to me, and I just noticed it. I mean, I'm not staring at people's phones or whatever, just to make it clear, but it just happened that I've seen on his screen, because he opened the phone, and I saw one of the dating apps, on the phone. He had it installed, and he was sitting next to me. He didn't know if I was single or not, but I didn't have a ring, so, And, he never approached me. And he looked at me several times, but he never, ever approached. And my point of view is that it really takes courage to do that. And another thing about meeting people, online versus in real life, is that not only it takes courage is an effort. And when you put effort in something, and you guys know that, when something is not easy, when something, it costs you something, either money, effort, whatever it can be, resources, time, any kind of resource, it becomes expensive and more valuable. When something is more valuable, you appreciate it more. You take care of it more. It's not the same thing if you buy a piece of clothes or whatever it may be, some item from Temu or AliExpress, with all my respect, and you buy something from a luxurious brand. And I don't want to compare human relationships with brands and items and materialistic things, but I think the principle, because human psychology, people really appreciate a lot more when something is more expensive, or and by more expensive, I don't necessarily mean in money. It can be in time, in effort, in whatever it could be, but it's not easy. Simply put, it's not that easy. When it's easy, you don't even derive, and you don't even get that much of a satisfaction from it, because, okay, it's easy, I did it, okay, whatever. But when you put a lot of effort, and you were afraid, or you were concerned or anxious, and finally you overcome all these barriers, limitations in the feelings that you had, and you go ahead and approach a woman. Because for a man it's not easy, especially nowadays, but maybe it was always like that, I don't know. It's not easy to approach a woman and say hello, because they could be rejected, and it's not a pleasant thing. I mean, I can definitely get that. And it's not a pleasant thing, and it takes courage, as I said. And but the men who do that are the men that really know the deal, and they really value and appreciate women on a completely different level. And most probably they're not on the dating apps. So I'm not bashing dating apps. So because I put the title pros and cons, or advantages and disadvantages of dating apps. So there are advantages. And actually in my monologue, in what I was saying, I kind of hinted on the advantages. And of course it's easy access. And there are circumstances where it really helps. A very, very, very recent example was the pandemic, but there are a lot of people who are super busy. And, they work a lot, they have a lot of responsibilities, and maybe they don't have so much of free time to hang out outside. So I guess it comes handy for that kind of people. Um, what I see as an issue, especially for women, is that, women, especially the ones that like to and are looking for something more tangible, and kind of a partner, to have a partner, um, you know, men on dating apps, because of the variety of choice, they don't really have such a personal approach towards you. And again, when my main point when it comes to that is when it's so easy, it's just maybe not appreciated so much. Of course, you can turn it around, and throughout the dates, when you meet somebody online and then you start dating, etc., you may find ways to show your value and somehow get it through and towards something more tangible. But the starting point is not very, it's not an advantage for women. So I guess that's one of the really negative sides of dating apps. And of course, I've never used them, but I've heard there are dating apps that are, paid, and let's say they filter out, people who are, let's say, not, they don't fall in the certain categories. So you have like a better choice. And when I talk about dating apps, obviously I talk about, and from the perspective, first of all, of a female, from my age, category, and also some cultural aspects, because I don't know, maybe in Europe and United States, dating apps are more popular. In other parts of the world, maybe less popular. I don't know, actually. I'm just assuming, to be honest. I don't know. But it really depends on culture, age, gender. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. The majority of the men were actually really there just to hook up. Nothing else. And there were all sort of weirdos. Like, all sorts of weirdos. I mean, I'm not saying that you cannot run into a weirdo in the streets and in the bar or in the restaurant or whatever. I mean, they're everywhere. But I don't know, it was just the environment, because there's a lot of, people in the dating apps. There are a lot of people in the using the dating apps. There's so many weirdos, like really crazy people, seriously. So there is a thing that you need to really be very careful, especially if you're a woman. Although I think even if you're even if you're a man, you still have to be careful. But statistically, violence and aggression is a lot more widespread in men than in women, or at least has a much bigger impact on women, negative impact on women than on men. So you know, there's all sorts of considerations. I remember that, you know, when I was younger and, you know, using the apps, I, I, I I really didn't think it was a wrong thing to actually um, mm, allow your date to bring you back home, because where I'm from is like a gesture of care to make sure that the lady is safe and you bring her home, not home like inside, but you know, close to the building, and you just not leave her alone to go home alone or something like that. I mean, I was raised in a completely different cultural environment, and for me that was kind of super normal, and it was expression of being a gentleman. But nowadays, I mean, it doesn't matter so much if it's a a man that you've met online or not. It's really, it's better not even to tell where you live, like because there are all sorts of crazy people, and you never know. You never know. So better be safe. And unfortunately, these dating apps give a stage or an opportunity for, you know, all sort of crazy men and narcissistic and psychopathic men to find victims. And you know, I'm talking, you know, this is not my first live, and if you have watched any of my previous lives, probably you know that I worked very extensively in this field of gender-based violence and violence against women. So I counseled perpetrators of domestic violence, the aggressors, you know, and most of them were men. Actually, all of them were men. And I cannot ignore the fact that that kind of narcissistic men also use dating apps to find their targets, their victims. And of course, by saying all that, I don't want to scare people off dating apps. Again, I say their benefits, as long as you're very smart when you use them, you know the disadvantages, and you just go ahead and you know, you have certain things in mind. They can be beneficial, they can be useful. So I'm not bashing them or saying there's something bad, but as anything else, it really depends how you use them, for what purpose you use them, and you know, just have like more of a realistic view on what you can expect from online platforms in general. And yeah, and just for the ladies, be aware that it's a confirmed fact that a lot of narcissistic psychopathic men actually use dating apps, and it's their very very common way to meet women for the purpose of using and abusing them. So definitely have to be very careful who you're meeting. And we women were so conditioned, especially from patriarchal societies. I'm Bulgarian, so I think we've been very very traditional. Maybe not so much nowadays, but for many, many years. We lived in a patriarchal family where women and girls were educated, trained, raised, whatever you call it, to be submissive, to be nice, to be kind, to smile, to, don't show negative emotions and all that, to strangers, to your relatives, to your family, and etc., etc. And that applies later on in our life. So we tend to trust, over trust people that men that we don't know very well. So that's a risk. So yeah, that was like my analysis and my experience in dating apps, with dating apps. There's a better way to say it. And I think in general they don't benefit women, especially. Like everything else in life, there are exceptions, and I'm sure that there would be people saying, oh, I had a great experience. And I actually had some friends who said, okay, they found somebody. So yeah, I'm saying that for sure there are people with success stories, as they say, and that's amazing. But I think most of the times, especially for women who look for something more tangible, for committed relationships, or at least, just to find a partner, get into, something more serious, or in a relationship in general. Dating apps are not maybe the best way to start, but if there are ladies listening to this video and this live, I would say that it's so much better if you go outside, if you're single and if you would like to meet somebody, than staying at home and swiping left and right and wasting your time. Because I think it's really a waste of time, mostly. And it still could be used as a backup plan, or something that you do if nothing else works. Like if you're going out, if you're meeting people but it doesn't work, and just like another option, you have your dating app account. Okay, that's if nothing else worked, fine, do whatever you've got to do, you have to do. But it's a completely different ball game if you just meet people in real life, and that applies for men and for women equally. Especially men who are cowards and just cannot really approach a woman, and they use dating apps because they're just missing, and they don't have the social skills and the courage to approach a woman in real life. I don't know if that's really the man that you want to be with in general, because I think men who possess certain qualities and they express them, I'm just checking if there were some messages. They are men that really you can see in real life that they possess certain skills, of certain qualities, as people, as men. Behind the screen, it's just easy, and anybody can do that. So it really depends if you look for a high quality man or not. I would say. Again, most probably there are some really good people on these dating apps. I was using the dating apps, as I said, so it doesn't mean that they're none. It's just there's some specifics when it comes to the dating apps that make them less interesting or less useful for certain people who look for something better. That's in a nutshell. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you found this live interesting, useful, and you enjoy it. Have a good evening. In Europe, is evening actually. It's getting quite late, so I need to go. But for wherever you are, enjoy your day if you're on the other part of the world. And for the rest, have a nice evening and stay tuned. I will come back with a new title, with a new topic very soon again. Bye.